Probably every self-respecting motorcyclist knows about the incredible story of Burt Munro, about his life's work, and about the dream that he made a reality against all odds. But for some reason, few people focused on the main thing, Burt Munro's motorcycle, to which he dedicated most of his life modifying. This is the evolution of old Burt's model, the 1920 Indian Scout Munro Special. And this is a heavily modified Scout. Burt bought that very Indian Scout in 1920 after selling his previous Clino motorcycle. It is worth noting that this was one of the company's first Indian Scouts, which had been on sale for a year, and it was quite good by the standards of that time, of course. For 120 pounds, you got a 42-degree V-twin side valve engine with an early version displacement of 606 cubic centimeters, around 11 horsepower, and a 3-speed gearbox. This was enough to accelerate the stock unit to a speed of just under 90 kilometers per hour. Later, the power output was increased, but this no longer interested Burt Munro, as he was focused on modifying his motorcycle on his own. On the crankcase of which the number 50 R627 will remain unchanged until the very end. In the same year, Burt Munro began tuning the motorcycle for speed and achieved a result of 145 kilometers. During those times, Munro started participating in various motorcycle races in Australia. He rode on mountain peaks, participated in road races, drag racing, and even raced off-road. In other words, if there was a two-wheel competition, Burt would most likely have tried it. In the mid-1930s, Burt Munro created prototypes to convert the engine to an OHV design. In his free time, Burt personally converted the engine of the Indian Scout in his garage to an OHV design, which literally means that the valves are installed in the cylinder head. The term OHV is often used to describe an engine design where the camshaft is located inside the engine block at the bottom, and the valves operate through lifters, push rods, and rocker arms. It is worth mentioning that this OHV design has been successfully used for decades, but it is now considered quite outdated. The advantage of the OHV system lies in its cost and reliability, as there is practically nothing that can break. The chain or drive belt, which are present in FUROR systems, are absent. With his own hands, Burt Munro single-handedly made progress that the world's largest motorcycle manufacturers achieved collectively over half a century. Initially, Burt Munro was quite disappointed because the motorcycle did not become faster, but thanks to his determination and perseverance, Burt continued tuning, and by 1940 he set a New Zealand record with a speed of 200 kilometers per hour. Gradually, he continued to refine and improve his motorcycle despite the lack of machining equipment, which did not deter the enthusiast. As a result, much of the production involved a lot of manual work. Burt used an old wheel spoke instead of a micrometer, cast pistons and molds made from tin cans, and experimented with the alloy composition. For this, Burt Munro melted down valves from Chevrolet and Ford cars. He independently manufactured flywheels, valves, pushrods, and rocker arms. Burt also made cylinders from cast iron gas pipes, which he obtained from the gas company after pipeline replacements, explaining that the pipes had been tempered over many years in the ground. Burt's favorite materials became axles from heavy trucks and Caterpillar tractors. He machined connecting rods from them. After rehardening, they could withstand over 143 tons of compressive load. The gearbox remained a 3-speed with a foot clutch. The colossal torque was transmitted to the tires, which were hand-shaved with a sharp knife. Burt explained this by the expansion of the tread at high speeds due to centrifugal force and the subsequent friction against the body parts. The suspension, as in the original stock Indian Scout, was virtually non-existent. It had a hardtail at the rear and a Springer fork at the front, which was later replaced with a more reliable girder fork. The frame was partially modified, the center of gravity was lowered, and the rider's seating position was adjusted. Burt Munro's motorcycle endured numerous crashes and engine explosions. Countless broken connecting rods and crankshafts, damaged pistons, and discarded ignitions and carburetors were sacrificed to the god of speed. To avoid overheating, Burt Munro changed the lubrication system of the Indian Scout to a dry sump, and for weight savings, he implemented some very elegant solutions, such as using a cork stopper instead of a regular gas cap. Old Burt didn't really bother with minor details. What? Wash it. With water. Why? Indeed, to reduce aerodynamic drag, Burt made a beautiful fiberglass fairing that covers the entire motorcycle, leaving space for the rider. From the outside, it looks more like a cartoon rocket from those years rather than a sports motorcycle, but it greatly added to the atmosphere of the legendary Mono Special. Burt set numerous speed records on his Indian Scout while simultaneously increasing its engine capacity. Listing each one separately would be very long and uninteresting, but mentioning the main achievement is certainly worthwhile. In 1962, at the dried-up Bonneville Salt Flats in the USA, Burt accelerated to 288 kilometers per hour and set a new world record. That time, the engine capacity of the Scout was 850 cubic centimeters. By 1967, Burt had reached a speed of 295 kilometers per hour. During a qualifying run, a speed of 331 kilometers per hour was recorded, which caused significant vibration, a fall, and the official maximum speed was not recognized. The Mono Special remained the fastest Indian, becoming a true legend in metal and a symbol of perseverance and dedication for many people around the world.